In today's video, we will talk about system thinking for designers. What it is, what are the things needed to consider, and how we as designers can benefit from becoming system thinkers, or at least think like system thinkers. Hi guys, Fabio Palvelli here with another video about the business side of design. If this is your first time here, do consider subscribing. Now, what is system thinking and how do you become a system thinker? Can you actually become a system thinker? I think the best explanation on system thinking is given by Seth Godin. Seth Godin says that system thinking is the ability of seeing, recognizing and understanding systems and the relationships between and among. This might sound a bit vague, but I will try to give you a very direct example, and then we will try to tie this example to our relevant design field. In my case, specifically, this is architectural visualization, but if you are any type of creative, you should also be able to find a logical link. There is a very interesting article from the Financial Times from May 2019 called "The Startups Building Dark Kitchens for Uber Eats and Deliveroo." I think this article is an important read about a new trend that started out in the USA and that is slowly expanding to Europe. There are some startups in London, but also Germany, France, I think. And it is the trend of cloud kitchens. Have you ever heard the expression cloud kitchens? Some people refer to them as ghost kitchens or invisible kitchens, dark kitchens. A cloud kitchen is basically a non-existing but existing restaurant, if that makes any sense, that only cooks food for delivery purposes. So it's a restaurant that it's not open to the public, which processes are optimized completely to only serve customers that order delivery food online or whatnot. So why is this happening? In the past few years, food delivery apps have been growing exponentially. The success of apps like Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, and so on and so forth suggests that the culture of our society is changing across nations more or less in the same way, and that many of us consume delivery food more than homemade food. Even at work, those who go and work in an office, sometimes not having the time to leave the office and go to a restaurant to grab some lunch, they would rather call or get food through a delivery app rather than prepare food at home. So these cloud kitchens basically represent a brand new opportunity to create business. Why? Well, you do not have the costs of having to create a restaurant in its entirety. All you need is a kitchen, so you do not have to have waiters or a prime location with maybe a higher rent. You are not required to have parking for your guests. That allows you to lower your prices, so to be able to offer food at a cheaper price. Many also speculate that it can actually be better for the global economy as it will help reduce food waste. So as I was saying, the culture is changing, so things are changing. If you see in many countries, especially in Asia, if you look at places like Japan, for example, even at home, kitchens are becoming more of a utility space rather than a room on its own where people cook and spend time together. This is something that we have slowly seen happening over the years in other areas related to living. I'll give you an example. As a kid, I remember my grandma, she had a sewing machine at home, and it was my grandma and also a little bit my mom, they used to make, for instance, my carnival costumes when I was a kid. I don't wear carnival costumes anymore. Now, one generation before my grandma, that same sewing machine was used to make clothes. And that is because about 150 years ago, as the famous investor Bob Van Dyke, which is cited in the article, says that people used to make their own clothes at home. Then, because of our change in habits and needs, this process started to be outsourced from within our homes to companies that made it cheaper and more accessible for us to get good quality clothes at a lower price. That gave birth to the high street fashion, fueled consumerism. That is, of course, another discussion. The point is that our culture changed, and that gave birth to an industry that still exists today, which is the clothing industry. Now, the big bet for a lot of investors is to think that in 10, 15, maybe 20 years down the line, the same thing is going to happen to food. We're not going to cook food at home anymore. We're just going to order it from a place that can offer it at a very cheap price and in a more convenient way, if you like. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think that this is going to happen? That in 10, 15, maybe 20 years down the line, we won't be cooking at home anymore? Let me know, write a comment, I'm just curious. So how is this article relevant to any artist or a designer? Well, right off the bat, this article shows that there are people that are consistently thinking about how the future is going to look like, and that make business decisions based not only on trends, but they look at how culture is changing and they make decisions based on these also. Reason why I say that understanding the role of culture in our daily life is very important. Let's take, for example, the field of architectural visualization, which is the most relevant to me. At the very beginning of this industry, there were artists and designers, which were probably the majority of them were architects. They knew how to use 3D software to make architectural 3D models of buildings and stuff, and could generate images. So these guys, they must have seen an opportunity to create something different, something more contemporary to what the trends used to look like back then. And that at one point they decided to try and offer these services to other architects and building developers and clients in general. Now, as it is imaginable, at the very beginning, there might have been frictions and rejection. And this is normal with innovation. The majority of people usually tend to reject innovation. But then slowly, as the culture changed, 3D rendering started to replace watercolor paintings, charcoal paintings, pencil drawings, which at the time were basically the standard for architecture presentation. There would have never been a modern architectural visualization or archivist industry without people understanding and recognizing the existence of these two separate systems, the architecture and construction system and the 3D and visualization system, and understanding the relationship and the potential of connecting the two. So what can designers do, or at least consider, in order to become better system thinkers? Well, first of all, we know that change will come. It's inevitable. Now, change often disrupts, but it also brings new opportunities. So being able to embrace positive change and reframe problems into opportunities is very important for any designer or artists that are trying to run a business. Second, we need to accept that what we know now might be very obsolete tomorrow. And so acknowledge the importance of technology and try to follow up with it, and being part of the conversation is vital for any artist or any designer. Third and most important thing, at least I think, we as creatives need to be able to imagine what the future is going to look like. And so having a vision in our heads can lead us to make better decisions in relationship to the future. Being a designer and not being interested in what the future is going to look like, I think it's a recipe for failure. With that said, we as designers need to understand that sometimes the work that we craft and produce for our clients is only a small part of a way bigger picture that many of us fail to see. So sometimes it would be a good practice to take a break and reflect on our role as artists and designers and see if there is a chance for us to be part of something bigger. To be part of something bigger, we need to be able to see what that something bigger looks like. Anyway, I think this is everything that I wanted to share with you today. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for all the support and all the love and the messages that you have left under my latest videos. I really appreciate it, and I'm so thankful for every one of you watching these videos. My name is Fabio Palvelli. I'll see you guys next time.